Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keelan.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where a lobster tries to destroy the world, because this week we watched The Crimson Horror.
Written by Mark Gatiss.
Directed by Saul Metzstein.
And aired on May 4th, 2013.
May the 4th be with you.
This is where we insert that Han Solo Love in Cloud City song.
What, I'm Han Solo?
Yeah,
that one?
Yeah.
From, what was it, Just Dawn's Star Wars?
Oh, really? That's what it's from?
Yeah, I think so. I remember before Solo came out, I was like, if this song's not in the movie, I'm writing. And then it wasn't in the movie. But then I didn't write because I didn't have enough energy to. Nor did I actually care that much. So.
You probably would have cared if it was in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, really? They put this in the movie?
Probably.
When did they make... Wasn't that song before all the Disney stuff?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so if you ever think Disney ruined Star Wars, just remember that Lucasarts did it first.
Yeah, this is a real, like... not nail in the coffin. This is a real, like, minus to my hatred of Disney as owning Star Wars. You can't point the finger at Disney for this one.
Some might consider that a plus.
What? What do you mean?
Some might consider that like a mark against Disney, like, see, you haven't created anything of this genius yet.
Yeah, Disney's really playing it safe. No Jar Jar like character in sight.
Thank
no Han
God.
Solo song in
Thank God.
sight. Within earshot.
Yeah. Well, apparently the guy who played Jar Jar just recently released an interview where he talked about the time he almost killed himself.
Yeah, I remember on Triple Play, go check that out, we touched on how, like, I forget the guy's name, but whoever played Jar Jar was like, yeah, this character is a minstrelsy, like, stereotype, and I'm really not okay with this. And how everyone else was just like, no, it's not. Like, it's fine. Suck it up.
Go, George. Well, back to the Crimson Horror.
Yeah, the production for this story wasn't really too interesting. This story was specifically written around the mother-daughter dynamic because those actors are actually mother and daughter.
Wow, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, Mark Gatiss knew that these two were going to be playing in it, and this is the first time they've acted together. The mother, I forget her name, I forget the daughter's name too, but the mother was one of the main characters, I believe, on the Avengers series.
Mm-hmm.
The
British one.
Yeah, not the Avengers, like
the comic book.
No, yeah, she was one of the main characters on that. This is the first time she's acted with her daughter, and I believe they said that was just a coincidence that they never acted
Diana
together.
Rigg.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was Diana Rigg.
Why do you know Diana Rigg?
Yeah, she
personally?
was in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the James Bond movie.
Oh.
She played the woman who gets married to James Bond at the end of the movie. So
Yeah, she's a pretty famous British actor.
Emma Peel. Yeah, she is. I didn't know that the lady who played Ada, was it Ada? Ada,
I don't
right?
remember.
Was her daughter?
Gillyflower
was the mom.
Yeah, and the daughter, I guess, because they had the same last name. So
No, the daughter had a different last name.
Oh,
She was
really?
like Ada something else, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. I don't even remember her name.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so the story was kind of written around them being antagonistic towards each other. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, I guess they succeeded at that, I guess.
Yeah, and that's that.
Wow. That really was boring.
I mean, I only read Wikipedia, so there you
Well,
go. Wikipedia is usually more detailed than any other site that I've ever
This is
found for
true.
Doctor Who production info.
it's true. Well, because they collate sources together.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Story begins with a guy dying.
Yeah, there's this mystery set up in the story about where is the doctor, which is unique for once. Instead of just starting right off with the Doctor and Clara running out of the TARDIS like, what's up? It's where is the Doctor today? It's like, where's Waldo?
Yeah. Well, one more production thing. Stephen Moffat, it was actually apparently Stephen Moffat's idea to do a story about Vastra, Jenny, and Strax and have them be the main characters, and then they kind of run across the Doctor. But he felt that he couldn't pull that off, so he asked Mark Gatiss to do it instead.
Mark Gatiss didn't quite pull it off either.
I really liked this story. This is really good. Season 7, or Series 7, I guess, is becoming one of my favorites, if not my favorite, of the new series.
Yeah, well, it's varied pretty wildly in quality,
Yeah,
so I think you're just ignoring all the bad stories.
I mean, we have Asylum of the Daleks, but like this, Hyde, Rings of Akaten are really good.
Yeah, I would disagree with that assessment on all of those. You're forgetting the gem that is Journey to the Center of the TARDIS anyway.
Well, I'm remembering that. I'm remembering dinosaurs on a spaceship. I'm remembering all the stories that dragged it down. But I'm also... Wow. It's true.
So why aren't you including Rings of Akaten in that list then?
Because that's the one that sort of pulled it out of the gutter.
No, not really. No. In fact, I would argue Rings of Akaten is the gutter.
There was this tweet that I saw recently. I don't remember who from, but it was asking people what their favorite story from Series 7 was, and like a lot of the responses were Rings of Akaten. So maybe in hindsight, that story's not as hated as people seem to remember.
Or it's going through a revival period. Critical revival. Yeah, well, I'm just glad we're coming to a close with this season. Good or bad, I'm just glad it's over, to be honest. It's time to move on from Matt Smith and on to something new.
Yeah, and finally find out who Clara is. I keep wanting to call her Jenna. That's the name that first comes to mind when I think of this character.
/ actress?
Not Clara, yeah. No, well, when I think of the character, I think that her name is Jenna.
That's odd.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just secretly yearning for Blake 7.
I actually did not realize that. That's the same name. Well, yeah, so this guy dies, and...
Yeah, he tells this woman, presumably I think it's his wife, not that it really even matters.
No.
That he needs to get to the bottom of what's going on here. He walks into a sort of room with a mysterious light emanating from within. And then a coalition of women who look like they're in mourning are like, sorry for your husband's death. And the lady's like, what? He just walked in that room. He's right there. And you hear screams of agony.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we get the title sequence. Actually, no, we don't. We get the title sequence in like 2 more minutes, because then we see a guy who goes to Jenny and Vastra and is like, hey, there's this guy who's red and he's dead.
Red Dead Redemption. Finally figured out what that name means.
Yeah, it refers to the Crimson Horror from Doctor Who. And he's like, you ever heard of that theory that an eyeball keeps an image of the lost thing it sees? And Vastra's like, no, that's not true. And he's like, yeah, well, I took a photo of this guy's eyeballs and look at this. There's a guy in the image, and they look at it and they're like, good God. And they develop the pictures. And it's the Doctor, and then we get the title sequence.
Yeah, there's all this stereotype, or I guess cliche, or thing of like Victorian and Edwardian women like fainting at every like little thing. And here it's this guy who faints at like every little thing.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
Because Vastra takes off her veil and reveals her face, and the guy faints. And then he faints again later on when he sees Strax.
Yeah. I remember a couple weeks ago on Hyde, we talked about like binaries and how like reversing that is an interesting way to do things. That's what they kind of are doing here.
I guess. Not to the same extent, though.
I mean, it's not like that. It's not something that you really need to focus on in this story.
Yeah.
It's not a big part of the story. I still think it's being done.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, let's have this guy, like, faint.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is being done. I'm just saying it's, like, not as prominent as it is
I mean, I don't have anything else to say about it other than that.
Well, so then they decide to, Jenny, Vastra, and Strax decide to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and I really liked this setup where it's Jenny, Vastra, and Strax, although it's kind of just mostly Jenny for most of it, being the main characters for half the episode. I really liked how that's all achieved.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good for a one-off I know Moffat considered doing like a Paternoster Gang spin-off of these three, and I don't know how well that would
I think it would work really well.
work.
Especially with Strax as the comic relief.
Yeah, but how many stories can you
You get a solid season. You could get a solid season out of this.
Okay, maybe one season, but like, how many stories can you really tell with these guys as the main character? Well, girls, I guess, is the proper pronoun here. But how many stories could you really get, right?
You definitely squeeze a lot of stories out of this trio.
You?
Yep.
They're confined to one time and place.
Yeah, just like most TV shows.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Doctor Who's scope is so much more massive than anything else.
Well, yes, but like, you would have to do something on that kind of scope because this is a series focused around two aliens living in London, in the Victorian/Edwardian London.
Yeah, there's already a lot of interesting things you can do with that.
Like
have them investigate alien and supernatural mysteries in Victorian London.
But how many of those could you really have before you like, this is just the same?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, a lot of, like Doctor Who, I do feel like, and this is something I would want out of this hypothetical spinoff, is that the episodes would feel pretty samey.
Yeah, well, you could always go, this is the Big Finish version of the spinoff that they made. Or that one off Jago and Lightfoot and Strax.
Wow. Yeah, I never realized how expensive Big Finish things are. Started looking at Blake 7 audios finally. I was like, yeah, these are gonna, be really expensive, so I just downloaded a bunch of Spacefall.
You gotta wait for a Big Finish to go on sale. That's when you gotta do your purchasing.
Yeah.
Or make your own audio dramas. Don't need to buy audio dramas if you make your own. Tap's head. So they go to this meeting where Gillyflower is like proclaiming the oncoming apocalypse, and it looks to be the most boring sermon I've ever been to. And I've been to some pretty boring sermons.
Yeah, this is some fire and brimstone stuff. Gillyflower, by the way, is sort of the leader of this coalition of women who look like they're in mourning. She's
a coalition of women who look like they're in mourning.
She's the head of Sweetville.
Right.
Which
she
is
created
sort of,
Sweetville.
It's kind of like a factory town almost.
Yeah.
It's like it's this massive factory complex and people live there and work there and no one's really sure what's going on there. They have a cover story as to what it is. I forgot what the cover story is though.
Some sort of factory.
It's like a straw factory or something.
And also like to survive the oncoming apocalypse, your first indication that Gillyflower is kind of a dickwad is that she's using her own daughter's like disfigurement for her own gain.
Yeah, she, as part of this speech, she's like, just look at my own daughter disfigured by, because she's talking about like the moral corruption in society.
Yeah.
And she's like disfigured by her own father.
In a fit of rage.
Yeah, and so her daughter is blind and
walks across the stage and reveals Sweetville, because Gillyflower's like, but there is salvation. Sweetville. And again, this looks like the most boring sermon if you were actually at this like meeting, because she's not like fired up about this. She's like talking in a pretty monotone voice. If I came to this meeting, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sign up. If only because your presentation skills need more work.
Yeah, if you just put on a better presentation, I would definitely sign up for like the obvious scam. Like,
I mean, it's like selling a timeshare. You got to really sell it, and she's just not.
The people in the audience seem really convinced. There are these cutaways to them like, oh, yeah, Sweetville.
yeah, the moral corruption of society that I'm probably a part of, yeah.
Well, we do get this establishing shot, and I think this is done really well at the beginning of the episode, because it's only like maybe 5 seconds long, but it just goes to show you like the depression of industrial life that is still around and that people have just learned to cope with, because you see these like people walking home from their factory jobs just like tired and depressed from the day. It's in Yorkshire. We didn't mention that this is in Yorkshire. It's not London for once.
Well, the Doctor was trying to get to London.
There's a reference to Tegan in this about how the Doctor tried to get an Australian woman to Heathrow Airport and kept failing.
Yeah. Then he tells Clara, Braveheart Clara. Just like the fifth Doctor told Tegan, Braveheart Tegan.
Didn't mention how, the death of Tegan's aunt was, it wasn't his fault, but, he was kind of there involved
was
with
also
it.
like the catalyst for Tegan traveling with him.
Right.
And it was kind of the reason why she wanted to get back to Heathrow Airport.
Also didn't tell her about Tegan's departure and all the deaths she witnessed.
Yeah, and the fact that she didn't depart because she was like... Or the fact that she did depart because she was just tired of all the violence and not because she was like going on to do better things. She departed because she was just fed up with the Doctor's shit, basically.
Yeah. Really brushing that under the rug.
I still think the Fifth Doctor like could have gotten her back to Heathrow Airport whenever he wanted, and he was just being like evasive about it.
He got her there.
Eventually. And then accidentally left her behind. He neglects to mention that to Clara too. Because she changes her mind.
It's okay. Clara hasn't really questioned the Doctor yet. Actually, that's not true.
Clara doesn't really do anything in this story. She exists mainly as a plot device, which is my problem with this story, which I'll talk about at the end.
Well, this is a companion light story, and in a way also the Doctor light story.
Yeah, in a way, but I'll talk about that at the end. So Jenny signs up for Sweetville because obviously Vastra can't sign up because she's a freaking lizard person, and Strax can't
is just lazy as hell. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, Strax is a potato, so...
They keep doing the joke where Strax calls... Well, in this one he calls Jenny a boy.
But he gets Gillyflower, right?
They keep overplaying that joke like it's not
and
even
they would
funny.
do that in the spin-off as well.
Yeah, they would. It would get annoying.
In fact, in the
Strax would probably get annoying.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they made a spin-off, Strax would just like devolve to a one-note character because they would probably dedicate all their time to Vastra and Jenny.
Yeah. As sad as it is to say, in this hypothetical like 13-episode season that they would pull off, Strax is getting his one episode to shine, and other than that, he's comic relief. Like, that's what would happen.
And he would start making the same joke over and over and over again, which...
Yeah. I mean, in their, hour and a half on the actual show, they've already used this joke, 3 or 4 times.
Pretty sure they use it at least once more. Pretty sure. So, Jenny goes to Sweetville and is like, I'm going to find out where the Doctor is and we're going to figure everything out. Vastra has this kind of, ham-fisted line where Strax is like, how's she gonna find the Doctor? And Vastra has this line where she's like, she's gonna look at all the danger and she's gonna run towards it. She's gonna look for the most dangerous room and go there.
I don't remember this.
Really?
There's another interesting scene that has to do with hysteric women, or if you don't know exactly what that is, I don't either, because it's not if I remember correctly, back in the 19th century, there's this term, it was mostly applied to women, almost 100% of the time applied to women, of hysteria, if there's something wrong with someone, psychologically, and they didn't know what it was, they're like, oh, well, she's, hysteric or whatever, so.
Yep,
it's
time
just
for lobotomy.
Yeah. And there's this scene that kind of plays off of this, where Jenny and some other girl that she meets are waiting in line to get into Sweetville.
Yeah.
And Jenny needs to create a distraction so she can, get behind the scenes or whatever. So she bribes this woman to pretend to be hysteric, essentially. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, in a way, saying behind the scenes of hysteria is this power that women have in the 19th century or something.
I mean, it's kind of an inversion, turning something that was used to keep women down, I guess.
Yeah, it was.
Into, what's the word I'm looking for? Into something empowering, I guess, because it allows Jenny to get behind the scenes. Although when you really think about it, this woman's probably dead because of this.
Well, I mean, from her perspective, yeah, you're right. But in the moment,
in
the moment, she's the one who distracts everyone.
Right.
She's the one who can, call their attention away from whatever they're paying attention to.
Right.
Standing in line to get into Sweetville. But whatever, yeah, it does feel a little off.
I guess. Jenny lockpicks this door and gets in, and there's just these giant gramophone-looking things blasting factory noises.
Yeah.
Which, one, how did they record factory noises? Is this 1893?
Alien. Oh, actually, sorry, not alien. Ancient Earth technology. There's no aliens in this. It's one of the first Doctor Who stories in a long time that has no aliens, except for Strax.
Not really.
They're all
It was
just...
Cold Earth, Hungry Blood, like 2 seasons ago.
Okay, fine. Well, yeah,
Plus
one
this
of
has
the
Strax,
first...
who is an alien.
Yeah, I just said Strax, but like also most Doctor Who stories have aliens. These are all just ancient Earthlings.
All Doctor Who stories have an alien because the Doctor's an alien.
Yeah, I guess.
So Jenny's like, wow.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, okay. Mission to the Unknown has those alien, like, plants or whatever.
Mission to the Unknown was based around, like, prepping for the Daleks to invade, so...
No, the Doctor's not in it.
No, but isn't, like, that whole alien council in it? The council that, like...
With Mavic Chen?
Yeah.
I don't remember, actually.
They're remaking Mission to the Unknown.
Yeah, I know.
So you should know.
Everyone needs to know.
We can release a special episode on that remake. Maybe. No promises. I realized that I made that a pretty definitive statement, but I want to backtrack on that. But yeah, so Jenny gets in, she's like, wow, kind of weird that these giant gramophones are just playing factory noises, so what is everybody actually doing at this factory? Quote, factory, unquote.
Yeah, and this is also one of the first Doctor Who stories in a long time where incompetent guards ruin everything because a bunch of guards walk by, and Jenny's like pretty much in plain sight. They just kind of walk by.
A good classic series throwback.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Mark Gatiss giving us the incompetent guards we need to stay interested in Doctor Who.
No, I was pretty interested in Doctor Who without the incompetent guards. In fact, I would argue I was more interested in Doctor Who without the incompetent guards.
Well, that's you.
Is it not you?
Dunno.
For our audio listeners, he just shrugged. We don't even make
for audio, like
yeah, we don't make videos anymore.
We had like 1 or 2.
2, I think, or 3. No, we did 3. 2 regular episodes and 1 special episode.
No. There was no point in doing the videos anyway. I mean,
no, except people got to see the very sketchy recording setup we used.
So Jenny's snooping around. And she comes across... There was this scene earlier that we kind of skipped over where we find out that the daughter, forget her name, Ada, is keeping some sort of what you think is like a creature in a room, and she brings it food, and she calls it her... Monster. And it's red.
Yeah, but we don't know what's in the room. But now Jenny finds the room, and she goes in, and surprise, surprise, it's El Doctor. El Doctorino. Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming at all. I really liked this.
Yeah, I didn't
Pretty
either.
big shock.
That's okay. They resolve it in the next 2 minutes. That the Doctor's all...
Well, he has that flashback. He's like, let me explain this quickly. And then it's, it takes 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, but that's after he unredifies himself. Uncrimsons himself.
Yeah, because the Doctor can't speak and he can hardly move.
But he can yell, apparently, which was a thing.
And this was a pretty tense scene, actually, with Jenny trying to take him out of...
wherever he wants to go.
Right. And because he can move very slowly, but there are guards walking around and they have to evade the guards. And I really liked the sort of tension.
The stealth aspect.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you'd want a heist episode of Doctor Who with stealth involved.
Yeah, where's the Doctor Who version of Gold? Blake 7.
A season from now.
Oh.
It's literally called Time Heist, so that's not a spoiler. I mean, I liked it. I didn't think it was, like, particularly amazing or anything.
No, I did.
Okay. Well, that's just you then.
So the Doctor gets into some sort of chamber.
Yeah, it's not really clear what it is. Well, I don't think it needs to be.
No, it doesn't. It also looks like he just uses his sonic screwdriver to de-crimsonize himself.
Well, I think he uses the sonic to like do something to the chamber to decrimson himself, because he does the same thing to Clara.
It doesn't really matter. So he gets out and Jenny's like, what's going on? The Doctor's like, we need to find Clara. Like, come on. She's like, Clara's dead.
And then this is when he's like, let me explain this simply. And then we have this flashback scene, which reminded me a lot of these flashback scenes in the Ant-Man movies. I don't know why.
Well, it's done with like this film grain effect thing.
Yeah. So, basically, the Doctor and Clara were trying to get to London, 1893, and the Doctor missed, landed in Yorkshire. Probably because the TARDIS was like, you need to go to Yorkshire, stuff's going down. He discovered the Crimson Horror. He mentions that the eye can't hold an image of the last thing it saw unless the body chemistry has been massively altered. So he sees the Crimson guy. He goes to Sweetville, posing as someone who wants to sign up, like Jenny did with Clara.
And they both get vatted.
Yeah.
Into this red, like, goo.
Yeah. Clara survives, though. The Doctor does not. Well, the Doctor does, but they don't think he does because he gets crimson.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ada kind of like takes him away, and that's why he's like her pet or whatever.
Yeah, because her job is to throw out the rejects, and since the Doctor's all red, they're like, oh, he's a reject.
Yeah, she sees that he's...
well, she doesn't see because she's blind.
Well, okay. She notices that he's still alive.
Right.
Barely hanging on.
Which is why she takes him to this, I guess, unused room in the factory compound to
it sort of just looks like a stable or something that they converted because there's hay everywhere. And
I sort of thought it was on the top floor for some reason. I don't know why. Because of the window in the back of the room. Just assumed it was on the top floor.
Yeah, and that catches us up and catches Jenny up to where they are now.
But then some guards attack, and the Doctor's like, oh, wow, attack of the supermodels. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good point. All these people, I wouldn't call them supermodel status, but I feel like they are more attractive than the norm for Victorian London.
Yeah, well, there is this, like, eugenics type thing that's going on here, where Gillyflower wants to, like, destroy the world, but also wants it to be, like...
recreated in her image, I guess.
So... Jenny fights the guards. The
who
black...
attack her one at a time, so continuing that incompetent guard strategy.
The black jumpsuit thing that she's wearing underneath her Victorian outfit is apparently a reference to the Avengers character that What's-Her-Face played.
Diana
Rigg.
She played Peel, I think.
I don't know the
Emma
name.
Peel.
Key and Peele.
No, not that Peel. There's a joke about penises here.
What? Really?
Yeah, because the Doctor's sonic screwdriver goes vertical when she takes off her clothes to reveal the black latex suit, and he looks at it, and he quickly puts it back down horizontally, very awkwardly.
Really? Is that... Or you just... I don't know.
No, that's definitely an erection joke.
I didn't get that.
Wow. To be fair, I only knew it was that because I'm pretty sure someone else...
Because you paused on Amazon and it told you...
Somehow I didn't think Amazon would include that.
There's this weird, like, pausing on Amazon, there's, like, this weird, like, interpretive stuff that happens where it's like Amazon is reading the stories in a very interesting way and telling you how to watch the show. It's really uncanny.
Well, Amazon is a private corporation, and they are allowed to do that. They're allowed to indoctrinate you.
Anyone's allowed to do that. Amazon just, like, throws it in there weirdly.
I have no problem with it.
You can turn it off, but...
why don't you just turn it off?
I'm so interested in what they have to say.
Are you really, though?
Yeah, like, it's so strange.
So what did they have to say about Crimson Horror?
I just looked... Well, they don't have, like, it's not where... They don't have... like every frame noted or whatever, but it's mostly production stuff. So like you can pause and find out who played who. And
isn't there a way to like make that like an overlay so that you don't have to pause to see it? I'm sure there was. I'm sure I saw that as an option.
I don't want that as like always there on the screen.
You don't want to learn about the production information while you watch? It would save us a lot of time on this podcast.
Information overload, no.
Is it really though?
Yep.
Okay. You need more information receptors then. So,
is that a thing in the brain? Like,
no, I just made that up.
No, I know. I'm making a joke about it. Just install a few more information receptors. You're good to go.
This is random, but did you know butterflies have brains? I didn't know that. I didn't realize.
Okay, I mean, it's not surprising.
It was a little surprising to me. I don't know why. I mean, because like ants don't have brains.
Yeah, like a lot of bugs. don't
Yeah,
have
but
brains.
butterflies have brains. So the doctor finds Clara in kind of a, like, I guess, preservation dome.
Yeah, she'd kind of just been like taxidermied in a way.
Well, yeah, this kind of dome, I guess, preserves him until after because later it's revealed that Gillyflower is going to destroy the world by basically inundating it with toxic gas. That this dome is kind of isolated from the gas, so once the gas is dissipated,
Right.
they'll be able to come out.
Yeah, and we actually, there's a hint towards Gillyflower's plan very early in the episode. Vastra says she's seen
This before.
this like residue of the flower that they're using or whatever it was to kill people.
The venom.
Yeah, the venom.
It's the venom of Mr. Sweet.
Oh yeah. It's Mr. Sweet's secretions.
Yeah, and there's kind of a little hint at this too when Gillyflower and Ada, there's a scene right about nowish, Gillyflower and Ada have dinner together. And Ada's like, is Mr. Sweet ever going to join us for dinner? And she's like, no, he's too tired. And then she kind of like,
She
quote,
pretends
accidentally
to,
spills the salt, unquote, and then throws some over her shoulder for good luck.
but then also
toward the
throws
demons.
some down her shirt for good luck.
Yeah.
So Strax is lost. And
He's trying to get Vastra to Sweetville.
Okay, what is this scene? This is so strange.
TomTom. It's a joke about TomTom, the GPS company.
Huh.
And I wrote here that TomTom joke is literally the worst.
Yeah, I'm slowly losing faith in this hypothetical Vastra Jenny Strax spinoff. If this is what they're
Yeah, because this
going
kid's
for.
name is Thomas. It's TomTom.
Yeah. I thought this kid was going to be revealed to be like a robot or like
Nope.
an alien or something, but apparently he's just very...
He's TomTom.
He's the predecessor to GPS, the human
Yeah,
predecessor.
yeah.
Tells Strax where Sweetville is.
The funny part of the scene was when Strax was going to put down the horse. He's like, horse, you're lost. 4th time this week. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Still a chance to put those 4 on the death count.
Not happening. And then this kid shows up, and then they make this extremely elaborate TomTom joke, and I'm like, wow. It's one of those jokes where Mark Gatiss thinks he's cleverer than he actually is.
Well, I didn't even know about TomTom. I didn't know what that was.
TomTom was like a big GPS when like separate GPSs were a thing. Now everybody just gets it in their phone. But there was like TomTom, and then there was Garmin. Those are kind of the two big ones.
Huh. Yeah, I've heard of Garmin.
Yeah. TomTom was the one who had the Darth Vader voice, I think, was an option for your GPS.
Huh?
I think.
Wow.
So, TomTom might have even been the first, which is why they made a TomTom joke. I don't know.
It was just very strange.
It was very strange and out of place. Really, really hope Thomas becomes a recurring character in this hypothetical spin-off. He can be like the human GPS. You just ride in the carriage with them all day and all night.
Yeah.
That was a
good.
very awkward pause.
For a very awkward scene. So Strax and Vastra reconvene with...
Yeah, Strax decides not to put the horse down, by the way. Should mention that.
Yeah, no animals were harmed in the course of this story. In universe.
Yeah. Anyway, Clara wakes up and the doctor's like, what's the plan? And then Clara's like, there's a chimney that doesn't spew smoke. Clara's one contribution to the story. It's just one of 2 contributions, sorry. And the doctor's like, oh, good point. I figured out the plan. So they go to the chimney and there's a giant rocket ship there.
Yeah, I didn't see the whole rocket thing coming. I thought they were just gonna use the chimney. This would actually be a more subtle way to go about things. Is like using the chimney to somehow disperse the.
Well, they are doing that. The chimney just is the launch tube for the rocket. Mrs.
You know what I mean,
Gillyflower.
right? It's just like slowly kind of, have this thing spread via fumes.
Well, so this is one of those
people
things where
didn't-
I was thinking this was going to be a great intelligence situation where it's like an alien who's like providing technology to the humans, but no.
And death to them.
It's revealed that I guess Mrs. Gillyflower came up with this rocket ship on her own.
Yeah.
Which is like, why wouldn't you just patent this and sell this?
She's, I don't know, she's gone off the deep end.
Not only that, they seem to have invented electricity.
Well, there's that line at the beginning, which this didn't even need to be in here. You could just have her be like a supervillain, but and she kind of was, in a comic book sense, a supervillain. But there's that line at the beginning of like how she was, an extremely like famous scientist or whatever, and then she turned all of her attentions to Sweetville and gave up
to building a rocket ship to take over the world.
Yeah.
So I guess she kind of is a mad scientist.
Yeah, she's definitely fits into that role.
There's some solid tech here that could have accelerated the pace of technological development in England by like 100 years. But no, it says she's going to use it to destroy the world.
So they're sneaking around. They see the chimney. They find out that how they're going to use the secretions to
kill everyone.
And they have this giant like bottle of it.
Yeah, which looks like not nearly enough to like spread over the entire Earth. So I'm kind of wondering,
would it have even worked?
Yeah.
It just covers Yorkshire.
Yeah,
Yorkshire.
Everybody in Yorkshire dies, and
God, I hate British spelling so much.
Yeah, what about
like
that
Gloucester?
Worcestershire source?
Gloucestershire, and it's pronounced Gloucester. Are you serious?
Yeah, like Worcester sauce.
Still better than the French. Just like every No, it is like every French word. You just pronounce the first two letters and then like have some weird like glottal sound. Like I don't know. Actually, no, it's not better than the French.
I was saying, having taken 3 years of French, I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Although French is pretty bad for that.
Yeah, that's because the French like to pretend that their language isn't as bastardized as English is, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go and confront Gillyflower.
Right. And Gillyflower's like, yeah, well, you never stop me. They take Ada with because they find Ada. She's been sobbing because her mom reveals that there's no place for what's the word she uses?
Cripples
or imperfections or something like that.
Invalids or something.
Eden.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh. But like genetically, she's not blind because of her genetics, right? So
but that's, I mean, like if you think back to Nazi Germany, which this kind of calls to mind.
Calls forward to, since this is like
60
years pre that.
Ish, yeah.
50, I guess. Closer to 40, I guess, Hitler's rise to power, but
the Nazis were against the disabled, right, whether it was genetic or not. So
if I just stab a dude in the spine and he like becomes like disabled, okay, I'm not going to, but disabled from the legs down, and the Nazis be like, well, sorry, gotta gas you. Would that be like a thing?
I don't know. Why are you asking me? I don't know. I mean, probably.
Okay.
I mean, I think obviously there's some hypocrisy to this, right? Like if like Himmler got stabbed in the spine and like couldn't use his legs, would he have been put to death? Like, I don't know. But like if there was some guy who that had happened to, and that was like, maybe 30 years in the past, and they found him, and they're like, well, we don't care why you're in a wheelchair, you're gonna die.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was definitely hypocrisy there.
I think it's at this point that Gillyflower reveals Mr. Sweet.
Yeah, who actually looks pretty cute.
She's like, look what I have attached to my chest. It's this cartoon lobster-looking thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get the feeling you're supposed to be horrified, but he's pretty cute. He's a pretty cute little bugger.
Yeah.
Got a cute little mouth and face. He's got these big eyes, and it's like, oh, just want to pet the little guy.
Yeah, and be careful with that. He might latch onto you, His parasitic nature is actually kind of scary.
This is also when the doctor reveals that Gillyflower was the one who caused her Ada's blindness.
Right.
And then gaslit her into believing that it was her dad. Basically subjecting her to both emotional, mental, and physical abuse for years.
And a lifetime of blindness.
Yep. And yet Ada still sticks around to Gillyflower, which is a thing. It's like people have difficulty leaving their abusers because of the abuse.
I mean, it's a Stockholm-like type thing.
Yeah.
This is actually, I think, the 1890s was when Stockholm Syndrome became a term.
Yeah.
I believe.
mean, it's kind of Stockholm, but also kind of like a prototypical abusive relationship because Ada believes that she's taking care of her mother, that she's like, that her mother would basically die or be lost without Ada.
Sure.
I mean, that's, she basically straight up says that because Gillyflower's like, you've taken care of me of all these years, and Ada's like, yeah, I took care of you, and this is what you did. I took care of you for all those years.
Yeah, she's definitely very manipulative about it, and because at first Ada walks in, and she's like, oh, hell no, and she gets like really mad at her mom.
And starts beating her with a walking stick.
Yeah, but then she kind of, like in a way, like forgives her. Or,
yeah.
Like, yeah. And Gillyflower uses this opportunity to take Ada hostage at gunpoint.
Yeah. Which is when Ada really is like, yeah, this is an abusive relationship that I need to leave.
Not Jenna, Clara is, keep wanting to say it, wants to go follow them because Gillyflower goes off to, an actor plan or whatever.
Oh, this is Clara's one other contribution to the story. She chucks a chair into the gears of the machine that was going to control the rocket launch.
Yeah. The doctor tells her not to go after Gillyflower because she'll just shoot Ada.
She's like, she wouldn't. The doctor's like, yeah, he would.
Yeah,
she would, I mean.
But really, like, in a hostage situation with one hostage, really disempowering herself if she shoots Ada.
I guess, but maybe she would shoot Ada and then shoot the doctor and Clara, since it looked like they just went down like a long straight hallway with no cover.
Yes. But anyway, they like spend some time not following her, and then they go follow her.
Yeah. They basically sit around, play a game of chess, and they're like, okay, now's good. Now we can follow her.
They just see the missile launch like out the window, like, oh shoot.
Would have been fine though, because Jenny and Vastra removed the venoms, so
yeah. But then they have this confrontation between them and Gillyflower.
Right.
And yeah, there's a shootout, and I forget how this happens, but Gillyflower eventually falls down the spiral
Strax
staircase
shoots
thing.
at her.
Yeah.
And she loses.
Yeah, Strax. He's not just comic relief.
So first, they're standing in the chimney, and then the rocket launches, and I'm like, they would all be vaporized by the rocket's, like, exhaust. So, neglecting that fact that they're all should be dead.
But yeah, this is just, I guess, commentary on how like people in the 1800s were okay with inhaling fumes.
I don't think that's
that
what
it was bad for you.
Don't think that's what it is at all somehow. But yeah, she pulls a gun on them. Well, she pulls the gun on them, and the doctor's able to get Ada away. Then Strax shoots at her, and I guess she just like falls.
Yeah, falls and dies.
Well, she falls and then has a moment of Ada, help
she
me.
Somehow doesn't die.
She tries to manipulate Ada into helping her again, and Ada's like, never.
Yeah.
Breaking free.
And then, so we didn't really describe what Mr. Sweet is. We kind of hinted at it. So it's this creature from the Silurian era.
Right, Vastra explains it as the red leech or something like that.
Yeah, and it has a venom, which was the venom that Gillyflower was trying to use, and it's
which is in the red paint looking thing.
Yeah, and it's, if I remember correctly, they've pretty much all died off, like most creatures from the Silurian period have, other than the Silurians.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, oh, great specimen, we can take this guy back to his own time.
And then Ada kills it.
Brutally, she like beats it to death.
Also, the experimentation on Ada was using the venom because Gillyflower was trying to find out how much venom to use to create an anti-venom.
Right.
For herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, she kills it.
The doctor's just like, oh.
I guess that's an option.
And they all leave.
Yeah, they all leave.
The guy from the beginning faints again when he sees the TARDIS dematerialize.
Well, so Jenny's like, oh, you haven't explained who Clara is. And the doctor's like, you're right. I haven't. And then he leaves. The
Nothing like a good
gang will
mystery.
return in something else. Nothing like a good mystery that's going to be resolved in 2 weeks.
Yeah, is that when we're learning who Clara is?
Well, the end of the season's in 2 weeks.
They could drag it on to the next season.
No, but no. Well, I mean, they could.
Imagine if they like dragged Bad Wolf on like a couple seasons.
That would suck. I was gonna say they could, but like Stephen Moffat and Russell T were like
they had their one season thing. It's always
pretty much.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see one drag on through like an entire 3 seasons or whatever.
Oh no! Wait, we're forgetting the scene at the very end where Clara goes home.
Yeah, we were about to get to that.
And
it turns out the kids...
not home. She goes to the kids she babysits.
It turns out that these kids are like the smartest like kids ever because they figure out exactly who she and the doctor are.
Yeah.
Through photo archives.
Yeah, you kind of have to wonder why they allowed their photo to be taken. The Doctor and Clara.
The doctor's never been careful about these things.
Yeah. Also, like, you have to wonder why the Soviet submarine had a picture of its crew that somehow ended up in
like the public domain.
No, because the boy says he finds it in a book in the library at his school. So you have to wonder why the Soviet crew manifest basically is in this book.
Well, that is kind of a sketchy thing, but like. Their faith in like everything they knew was probably shaken by what's the Ice Warrior, I forget his name.
Yeah, but then also there's this picture of them with Alan and Emma from Hyde.
Right. Yep.
You have to wonder why they had their picture taken and when during the course of that story that picture was taken.
You just see Hilla like in the background of the picture.
We don't know when that picture was taken, and then there's a picture or a painting of like Victorian era Clara, and then you have to wonder when that picture was taken, and who would take that picture because she was just a governess, right? Like,
it's not that far fetched. It's really not. Like,
no, it's not. Yeah. But I was just left wondering like why all these pictures, like all of them, existed.
Come on, like it's a story. Like,
yeah,
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But they discern, they figure out
who the Soviet submarine.
They figure out who the doctor is. They're like, so you're a time traveler, and that guy you travel with is a time traveler.
Well, this is when, because Clara's like, why were we trying to get to London? And the doctor's like, I just wanted to go to London for once. And then she sees the picture of the governess version of herself, and she's like, that's not right. I was in Yorkshire in 1893. And that's how she tacitly admits that she's a time traveler.
Yeah, and this is where I guess she's starting to figure out or find out or realize that the doctor's
investigating her.
The doctor's, he's trying to figure out who she is, I guess. I don't know.
Right. And that's how the story ends, with a preview for the kids coming along next week. Can I get a hype?
Kids aren't always bad.
More often than not, they are, though.
I'm not going to write off this story yet.
And you shouldn't. I don't think you should.
I'll write it off after they're probably bad next week. You thought I was defending this?
How optimistic. It's a Neil Gaiman story next week. It's got Warwick Davis, too. I don't know if you could see that in the preview, but Warwick Davis is...
People always say, like, man, I'm born in the wrong period. Wish I lived in, like, the 1500s. And I'm like, really? I enjoy toilets too much to want to live in any period other than, like, maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
I think being rich as hell and being a lord in the 1500s would outweigh not having toilets.
I don't think
being able to rule over my peasants is probably outweigh the need for toilets.
I really don't think so.
I wouldn't even know that toilets are a thing if I lived in that era, right? So I wouldn't know what I'm missing. It would just be life. It would just be life.
No, I can't stand behind that. Indoor plumbing is too useful of a thing.
The Romans had indoor plumbing. Very rudimentary system at that, but so you could always live in ancient Rome if you really care that much about your indoor plumbing.
No.
Et tu, Brute? The Ides of March was a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, today's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah, No wonder everything is green. So anyway, my problem with the story is that Clara basically only exists to like give Jenny and Vastra a mystery to ask the Doctor about. That's basically her entire contribution to the story.
But there's always stories like that, like Midnight, where Donna is just like at a spa.
Yeah, but see, in that story, like Donna was just completely removed from the story, though. Whereas in this, like the
Not
Doctor
really.
rescued. Well, yeah,
She was a
she
big
shows up
part-
at the beginning and she shows up at the end.
Yeah, and she was a big part of the like little character moment at the end where the Doctor.
Yeah, but see, that's the
confronts
thing.
her.
She was a big part of the character moment. She still contributed to the story, even though she was barely there, right? In this story, we explicitly, like, we take a detour explicitly to rescue Clara, and then she's not, like, part of any sort of big character moment for the Doctor. She's not, like, totally instrumental to saving the day, because the Doctor was going to use the Sonic to destroy the machine anyway, when she threw the chair into it. She kind of just exists so that the audience can go, wait a minute, Jenny, Vastra, they know Clara. What are they going to do when they see this Clara? And it turns out nothing. They're not going to do anything.
Okay, I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it. I remember when I was watching this, I was like, this is kind of like The Massacre, in a way.
Except the Massacre, Steven was the main
Well,
character.
yeah, no, but like, you know what I mean, right? Like, one of the main characters is kind of like gone, especially when neither of them is there in the first half. But
I guess, but by that logic, so is Midnight and Blink.
Yeah, well, but I mean, again, like you said, in Midnight, Donna, even though she's not there for most of it, is a big part of the, whatever, that scene at the end.
Right.
Whereas in The Massacre, the Doctor does show up at the end, and he actually wasn't the other Doctor, whoever it was. He was just off doing something else.
The Abbot.
Yeah, he wasn't the Abbot. If I remember correctly, Stephen asks him what he was doing, and he was just like, don't pry into other people's business. God, what a mess that story was.
Honestly, the biggest mystery and the only mildly interesting thing about The Massacre is what the hell was the Doctor doing then?
You know what? Big Finish should really get on this. Have like an interesting, like mind-blowingly good story as to what the Doctor was doing that just paints one that touches on all the points of the Massacre that fell flat and like makes them good in a behind-the-scenes way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like Back to the Future 2 style, where they like revisit, the scenes from like another perspective, and you're like, oh shoot, that was going on at the same time. It would be a really hard task, but Big Finish has the time and the money. And if they won't do it, I'll take up the mantle
and a creative
myself.
bankruptcy.
I'll do it.
No, you won't.
Turn this into my life's work, writing a Doctor Who fan fiction that makes the Massacre good. Someday.
You won't.
I'll do it someday.
Doubt it. Prove me wrong. I bet you he was just like drinking in a bar somewhere for 3 days straight.
Well, actually doing that is going to involve like watching the Massacre all the way through multiple times. So, but you know what? I'm willing to do it.
It's a reconstruction, so it's really more listening.
But you still watch the images on the screen.
It's basically a glorified PowerPoint.
I don't multitask. No, none of that like watched in the background type thing. No, none of that BS.
I mean, I watch Doctor Who while I'm eating dinner sometimes.
No. See, there you go.
What?
I mean, you can't really say you've watched the episodes then.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, but not like truthfully.
Yes, I can.
If you're not just doing one thing, which is watching, and if your mind starts wandering, you got to go back, got to rewind the episode and watch that segment again.
Yeah, well, you better stop breathing while you watch. Then can't do anything. No blinking, man. No blinking.
Involuntary actions are okay. But everything else...
Breathing is not involuntary if you think about breathing. Then it becomes like, okay, now I'm thinking about breathing.
Yeah, exactly. So if you start thinking about breathing, that portion of when you watch the episode is null.
I don't agree with any of this.
I mean, I don't either. Like, I'm obviously being
especially
hyperbolic
coming from the guy who
about it.
didn't watch Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah, no. I mean, in a way, like, I am being serious about, like, I'm not gonna be like reading a book while watching the episode.
Okay, yeah, like, I'm not gonna do that.
I don't eat when I watch stuff, but yeah, I don't know.
You might.
Actually, I don't know what I would do while watching an episode or something. Nothing, really. I wouldn't even eat. But like,
You wouldn't
yeah,
snack,
I mean,
pull out some popcorn,
no,
bag of chips.
no, because then the next thing you know, your computer is covered with, crumbs, and I don't know. It's just
Well,
anyway.
don't
What
eat
were
next
we
to your
even talking
computer.
about?
I don't know. I don't have anything else to say.
Me neither.
You can email us at the Doctor of Vegetable. God, I did that last week too. The Doctor at decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on the Crimson Horror. You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching Nightmare in Silver. But until then, the end.